Fam, what is up with the squad? It's Sess, your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. This is Sess Talk Sports, BY's PoliSports Tea Time. Y'all know what it is. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We hold a space for a conversation many platforms avoid because it costs access. Okay? The USA Basketball media comments involving Angel Reese force a real question. And this conversation we've been trying to have for a minute here. So we're gonna get to this conversation. What's going on? What's going on, Amber? What happens when telling the truth threatens your ability to stay in the room? And it's a conversation, Lil, that you can have it in so many different places. You can have it in so many different places. Yeah, we got Lil in the building. Okay, we got Lil in the building. Marvin, what's going on, Marvin? This ain't gossip. This isn't fan side picking. Okay, this is an examination of power, labor, consequences, survival. We need everybody to understand that. Okay. This is an examination of power, labor, consequence, and survival, okay? Black women athletes are expected to carry culture without disrupting capital. Celebrated for excellence until the excellence demands accountability. When workplace harm, organizational misuse, or biased narrative surface, the system doesn't protect truth tellers. That's when they get to start to manage them, Leo. They try to manage them. And this is the tension that we're going to unpack. Visibility without leverage, influence without insulation, compromise not because the athlete is weak, but because the structure is strong. Okay. So the conversation requires precision, analysis without personalization, politics without character assassination, honesty without harm. So we're going to interrogate a system and not an individual. And I want to make that clear. This is an interrogation of a system and not an individual. Because the machinery that conditions access rewards compliance and markets reconciliation as progress. So with that frame is set, okay? With that frame is set, everybody, I'm going to bring in the voice that always takes us deeper into the policy, power, and structural implications behind the game. None other than the truth teller herself. Lil in the building. What's up, Lil?
What's going on? What's going on?
Set this table. Let's go.
Hello, everyone, and thank you all for listening in. And thank you, Sess and Peace family. Listen, if you came for some surface level takes, you're in the wrong live stream, because what we're examining tonight is not whether an athlete speaks boldly, but what happens after the institution hears it. Who gets invited back into the room? Who gets labeled as a manageable or risky? And who is asked to repair a relationship the system itself fractured? These power centers, franchises, USA Basketball, and the media ecosystems, they are not moved by truth. They are moved by threat assessment, narrative, discipline, and brand containment. And Black women in sports have always paid the highest professional price for crossing invisible institution lines. So tonight we're going to interrogate the system that repeatedly places Black women like Angel Reese in impossible positions, where speaking truth to power often comes with a professional consequence, and where compromise becomes currency for continued access, not evidence of wrongdoing by the athlete. And so that brings us into our first segment, the foundation of tonight's breakdown. Auntie Sess, go ahead and take us in there.
The system is the board and the athlete is the piece, right? Power analysis. This is not fandom, okay? The system is the board, the athlete is the piece. And so when you zoom out from the noise in the name structure, right? Women's basketball is not an open court. This is a closed system. We need to understand that. It's a closed system. Leagues, franchises, USA Basketball, and media. Those are the institutions that own the board. These are the ones, Lil, that set the rules. They do the timing, the narratives, the consequences. Athletes are not moving freely. They move within permission in these systems, right? And the piece that gets constrained first is the Black woman athlete. And the key point is visibility is not power without control. You can be marketable, you can be dominant, you can move culture and still lack leverage. So when we see compromise, when you see the reconciliation or public restraint, we're not judging character, we are reading the constraint. This is not about who an athlete is. We need to have a conversation about what the system allows. So the board, not the piece, is what we're going to examine tonight. So y'all tell me in the chat, who actually controls movement in women's basketball? Is it talent or is it institutions? And that's a real question. We want to, because I want to make sure that everybody is on the same page as we have this conversation. Have you ever watched a black woman athlete speak up about mistreatment only to see the system punish her through narrative, opportunity, or access instead of addressing the harm? Y'all put a yes, drop a name, drop a moment. Let's talk about that. Leo, when you say the system owns the board, not that, explain what the power centers are actually controlling. Beyond the contracts and the rosters, what does institutional control really look like in practice?
You know, institutional control is about narrative, access, and career velocity. The power center decides who gets protected in the press, who gets development grades, who gets labeled difficult, and who gets invited into national or global pipelines like USA Basketball. And so it shows up in subtle ways, you know, minutes tied to obedience, media leaks that reshape your reputation, and then leadership being framed as attitude, and opportunities being slowed or accelerated based on institutional comfort and not merit. It's not loud punishment, it's quiet leverage that can redirect an athlete's career without ever putting the system on trial.
So let's go a layer deeper than that. Why are black women athletes so often framed as the piece then that got to compromise or reconcile or adjust, and when the system itself is the one under scrutiny? Help me understand that.
You know what? It's because systems are built under white patriarchal norms, and they treat black women honesty as instability, not insight. So when a black woman names harm, the institutional shifts the story from accountability to repair, implying she disrupted something and she should now fix it. And that's just historical conditioning. Black women are cast as labor culture emotional shock absorbers, expected to recalibrate tone, swallow conflict publicly, and prove they can be managed because they'll be rewarded. And this framing protects the institution from appearing flawed, and it teaches the league that peace, not justice, is the price of continued access for women who dare to speak up.
Facts, Lil, and I see y'all saying in the chat it's the institutions, and it is. And what's going on? Hey, Shay, what's going on? AB, what's going on? What's going on? Chuckle Chatter, what's happening, y'all? Let's talk about why the USA Basketball invite matters, right? And for those of y'all, we're talking about, for those of y'all who maybe didn't see the recording. You know, this was in response to Angel's letting us know that she would be back in Chicago, right? And the timing of this and how this all played out. So most fans see USA Basketball as prestige, right? Structurally, it's power. It's not a summer run or a jersey moment. It's a national gatekeeper. That's what USA Basketball is. It certifies reputations. So it signals safety to franchises, de-risk athletes for sponsors, and it quietly tells the media who is ready and who's problematic. So for black women athletes, that access has always been conditional, right? USA Basketball, they don't just evaluate the talent. It evaluates institutional comfort, alignment, manageability, silence framed as professionalism. All that stuff is rewarded. It disciplines without paper trails through access, invites, labels, narratives like still developing, need growth, all that. That's all management, right? These words move careers. That's why tone shifts at USA Basketball moments. Not because the athlete changed, because the gravity does. When Angel Reese publicly criticized her franchise, named misuse, challenged leadership, questioned direction, she crossed the institutional line. Agreement doesn't matter. Impact does. See, USA Basketball historically polices dissent, especially from black women with influence. So when her media tones shifted, emphasizing contract status, reconciliation, stability, that wasn't randomness. That was access preservation, not weakness, constraint. The board is still owned by institutions. So USA Basketball sit at the center of that. That's the piece that fans miss, Lil. So since we already talked about the three functions, speak directly to this. Why does a public critique of franchise leadership register as a threat inside USA Basketball system?
You know what? Public critiques are seen as a threat because USA Basketball, they rely on hierarchy and control as well. And any visible challenge signals a crack in that authority. So showing others that they could speak out too. This is I'm going to make an example out of you narrative. And so even if it doesn't relate to international play, it challenges the system power dynamics, especially when the critique comes from a hyper visual black woman amplifying, the perceived risk.
Hell, they need Angel. Angel doesn't need them. She blowing up in spite of the WNBA. Talk about that. Because, go ahead, Lil.
Her visibility. I'm sorry, y'all, break the news. Visibility does not equal power. The bottom line is, no matter how popular she is, there is a power mechanism that's going to control whether she participates in USA Basketball, which you all know leads to the Olympic team in 2028. This is what all this is about. Sure, she received the invitation. She received the invitation because of her visibility. But they still are in position to make the decision to say, okay, well, you're not ready for this 2028 Olympics. And I'm going to tell you an example. I remember when Angel was in high school, she had some kind of racial incident with the leadership in her high school league. Some woman, white woman came out. She didn't quite like the way she played. This was said and that was said. It was some kind of little racial thing. And she winded up not on that USA Basketball. I think it was an under 19 team that Paige, Haley Van Liv, and Caitlin Clark played on. And I remember seeing in an interview she had kind of talked about that she thought, she was being dissed, even though she was the second best high school player coming out, that she had been dissed in some kind of way due to her talent. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think she even recognized, little stuff like that. Those are political moves. The Olympics is a huge political stage because it's a geopolitical stage. It's global. And sometimes when you get yourself entangled in chastising any type of power structure, people do little slick stick, I mean, how can you justify not sending her an invitation in high school when she's the second best player out here? But then you look at Brown that played for the Celtics. How is this man not on the Olympic team? You see what I'm saying? Besides the sponsorship issue, but it's still always politics at play. And so those kind of things they come around to harm the athlete. And see, another thing, she made it publicly known that being on the Olympic team is one of her goals. And I'm not saying that is not a goal for every pro player, but it's something that she really want to do. Is people will use stuff that you want to do. Once you covet something, you kind of leave yourself in a vulnerable position because the system will use that desire to kind of move you around. And remember, she's under her brand is unapologetic, unbossed, unbothered. Mm-hmm. So with those things in mind, power, and that's what power is. Power has a way of determining your decisions without you having any input. Because the bottom line is whatever they told, and the timing of the announcement was really weird to me. Because this girl has been silent for so long, I thought she was headed for a lawsuit myself. But that she had to make that announcement. And why would she even ask the question? Was what I was thinking, because I'm like,
where did it come from? Why now?
Yeah, right. So that just let me know that the USA Basketball is definitely the police, because the last thing they want you to do is to get on an international stage and embarrass power, as we have seen this historically done with the raising of the fist at the 1968 Olympics, and some other incidents that have taken place. So they just, to me, they filtering talent and they filtering behavior too. And filtering political positions and all that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, it is going to be on the homeland, and you don't want people representing a country that are having some kind of conflict with a power structure. And the WNBA is, in fact, a basketball power structure.
So Okay, and I want to continue the conversation, but I thought that was a great point. And I see you saying you wish you'd have kept it to herself, but you got to tell somebody, or they don't know that you want to be there. There are many black women and men saying she's not worthy of being on the team. Well, that's a conversation for another time.
That's a whole nother.
That right there. That's a different conversation there. That's a totally different conversation there. But I don't agree with that either. She'll earn her way there, but we can get back and forth on what Angel deserves. I'm gonna put a pin in that one, Al. We'll come back. I can see the system keeping her from USA Olympic team because she is moving too fast for them. Her getting that Victoria's Secret that she strive for, they're ready to police her. Not only that, okay, let's be real. It's not just the Victoria's Secret. It's the Met Gala. It's the how she's moving. Period. Mm-hmm. But also, when I look at it, I just don't know if 28 it'll be time for her, right, to be on the team. Let's if we're honest about everything that's going to go on, right. So again, this is on our home soil. I believe that Asia is still going to play. I believe that Nafisa is still going to play. I believe that if Stewie wants to play, she will play. So I wonder if it'll be room. Will it be room? Will it be room for her as a big there? But I definitely think that there's a space for her on the 2032 team. So between now and 2032, to me, there's some USA basketball that Angel plays, even if it's not in 28 or in 26. I don't know. This is a tryout. Deserving doesn't matter if you don't have access, and that's the point. That's the point. It doesn't matter if you don't have access. And so be honest, before tonight, did you realize USA basketball could influence a playing career without ever issuing a formal penalty? Just by controlling the invitation to access and readiness narratives. Did y'all realize that? Put yes. You've seen no, drop a name, you know what I'm saying? Let us know. There's a philosophical theorem that basically says to move in silence. When people know our moves, they can't stop us cold dead in our tracks. I got you. I got you, K. I got you. I got you, K-File. But what I want to know is, in this situation, then how does she let the world know that she's interested or wants to be a part of USA basketball? That's my question. Because they almost make it where you got to kind of announce it, right? You can't move in silence. They set the rules up so that you can't move in silence. Mm-hmm. Right? In a way. But let's see who's been reading the system and not the stat sheet. Because I want to also talk about the optics of equilibrium when the system demands a reset. So what we saw next wasn't resolution, it was a recalibration, right? Because the narrative is shifted from an institutional harm to individual responsibility. Angel's statement moved the spotlight off the organization into her, not because harm disappeared, but because the system needed equilibrium restored. This is a script. Listen, okay, this is a familiar script for Black women in public institutions. Truth get reframed quickly as disruption. Disruption gets reassigned as something they must fix. So the burden of reconciliation landed on her, and not the organization that got criticized. And that's not accountability. That's that damage control with polished language coming up. And the key point is intent is not the issue. Impact is. See, whether the tone shift was strategic, pressured, or necessary doesn't change the outcome. The system damn stabilized itself without addressing the original harm. And that was allowed. The moment revealed the real response pattern, right? When Black women challenge leadership, institutions don't ask if the critique was valid. They ask if the athlete can be recalibrated. And that's the bullshit of this whole thing. Recalibration looked like softening the language, reassurance of alignment, and public repair work performed by the person who raised the alarm. Now she talking about what she got to do. She under contract. She got to go back. What she got to do? Now, why you got to do all of that when the complaint was about what they did and what they didn't do and what they have repeatedly not done? They haven't said one thing about what they'll do different, how they'll be better. They are also still part of this contract that she's under. But she's the only one having to acknowledge that. Mm-hmm. That's how the equilibrium gets restored. Not by justice, but by containment. So why did Angel Reese's statement reposition the conflict, Leo, as something she needed to repair instead of something the organization needed to correct?
You know, Angel Reese's statement reflects the way the system trains Black women athletes to internalize accountability for conflicts they didn't even cause. So by framing the issue as her responsibility to repair, the spotlight shifts from the organizational failure. And they have been abusing Black women in that organization for years. So they don't address mistreatment, negative media framing, or structural inequities in roster building, and they putting that on the athlete. And so this repositioning protects the institution from scrutiny while signaling to other players that self-regulation and public contrition are expected, even when the harm originates from the system. And that's what's so frustrating. They have mistreated Black women in that organization in a discriminatory manner. They fired Coach Teaspoon, my opinion. You know, and then you have to always turn around and then you looking like you was the damn problem. That young lady, I don't want to call her a girl because she's a young lady. That young lady wants to win, has spent her money to better her performance, has done everything that she could on that court to make this Sky team a winner, all while having to take their abuse from an incompetent, no basketball knowledge, raggedy GM that was able to use his skin color, because damn sure wasn't his brain, to muscle himself into a job he has no business with. You know, and then you're gonna, just because this young lady wants to go and represent her country, then you gonna all of a sudden try to make it look like she was the damn problem. That, you know, it's very disheartening, but it shows that she alone doesn't have leverage. You know, and at some point later on, we gonna have to address how that leverage needs to come to her.
Leo, explain why the burden of reconciliation placed on the harmed party, not mutual accountability, but institutional damage controlling emotion.
Well, you know, the burden falls on the harmed party because institutions prioritize reputation management over justice. And the Sky just, you know, they don't care about their players, they care about their job. And so asking an athlete to reconcile publicly controls the narrative, containing backlash, and then it maintains the appearance of fairness while avoiding substantive systemic change. So there's no demand on the organization, on the Chicago Sky, to change the way it needs to operate. And so this strategy ensures the organization avoids accountability. They get to preserve their authority to reinforce a hierarchy where a harmed individual, which is often a Black woman, is pressured to absorb the emotional labor of repair while structural inequities remain unaddressed.
Fam, I want to hear from y'all. When you heard Angel Reese's USA Basketball Media Day statement, did you feel that either sounded like her? Or did it sound like institutional reset language? Right? I mean, y'all let me know for real. And I'm sorry, y'all. YouTube. StreamYard is being weird, but we gonna rock through. And who do you think that statement came out? Why do you think that statement came out during the trials and not earlier when the harm was first described? Why didn't it say that way back then? Why did we wait till we got all the way back to USA Basketball? To even address it again? I had kind of forgot about it. You know what I'm saying? But okay, I want to talk about this. She's playing chess. She's playing chess, but not on a board that she owned, y'all. So Angel Reese is strategic, full stop. Okay. But strategy is not ownership. See, this moment it's not about winning. It's about preserving access, Olympic pathways, reputation tags, institutional doors staying open. So a tone shift doesn't tell us her end game. It tells us who still controls the board. Chess buys the time. It can't change who set the rules. So until the athlete owns the board, every move is survival, not sovereignty. Do you read the statement more as a move to preserve future mobility or a move to preserve institutional access right now, Lil? How do you read this move she made?
You know, the statement reads primarily as a move to preserve institutional access in the moment. So by signaling compliance and a willingness to repair, Angel Reese is maintaining her standing within the immediate system, ensuring she can continue to compete, receive exposure, and retain opportunities that might be jeopardized by ongoing confrontation. So, for example, if she was, to sue, if she was to choose to sue, that's an ongoing confrontation that could jeopardize her going any further in USA Basketball. So while future mobility is a consideration, the immediate goal is navigating a landscape that rewards conformity over disruption. And we all living on the same planet in the same country. And you all know the hierarchy, these jobs that we own, or other places where we're not in ownership, they don't want to hear about no disruption. They want you to conform and go along and play nice.
She was reading a statement she was given. You want her to leave that. Okay, so if she leaves the WNBA, where do you want her to go? It's a reset, but I think they are underestimating Angel's business sense, which they often do with us. She has an ace, and from her previous moves, her aces are always more ownership.
Well, she ain't gonna be on in the WNBA or USA Basketball, no time soon. And you have some moves when you're dealing with power, but if Marjorie Green can be forced to leave her job up there in Congress, a white woman with a $25 million construction company and has raised multi-million dollars for a 47 regime, if she get told she gonna have to step aside due to death threats on her son, power is not a play toy. It's not something you just think you're gonna maneuver around, and think you got play cards and stuff like that. You wind up just like Diddy. He thought the same thing when he went running over there telling them liquor boys he was gonna sue them for discrimination. And now look at him, locked away. You have to. Thing I'm trying to say is, you have to move careful, but you also got to understand what this power structure will do to you. You're not gonna come out looking as cute as you think, just because you have a little visibility. Because I'm gonna tell y'all something right now. If 47 wanted to, he could call every corporation she got to deal with and have it dropped, just in a telephone call, and put you right back in the 9 to 5 bucket. Do not think those things are not possible. They are. Because every one of them companies she deal with, I guarantee you, they got some kind of government contract that he could leverage if that's what he wanted to happen. That's what power is. There's no individual as powerful as a collective. I don't care what kind of moves you make and how secretive your moves and all that. you know, you can only attack them through the collective. You don't, I mean, y'all not watching the board, y'all not seeing how black women are under incredible attack from this power structure. You know, they trying to choke us all the way out. You know, and Angel Reese is a part of who they are attacking. So yeah, she got to tread lightly. You know, she can't convince people that she out here making these bold moves that's gonna cut them down. I mean, come on, y'all. These people destabilizing whole countries. What makes you think they can't destabilize one individual? But anyway, go ahead. Get into that.
I see you saying, Amber saying, if she leaves, could she get an ownership group together to buy the Chicago Sky? She could, but they don't have to approve you to buy it. That's the other thing.
Always another level.
You can show up with enough money to buy it. It don't mean that you go get that they'll approve you to buy it though.
They just showed you that with Tatum and Candace Parker bid.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them showed up 250 deep. And they told them, nah, we gonna do something else. and that's what happened. And you don't have no kind of recourse. Although I think they both had a recourse, they just wasn't willing to take it. But you know, that's another episode. See, I'm gonna say this, you know, by making this compromise, the young lady avoided exclusion from key programs, you know, and then she killed some negative media narratives that could damage her brand and potential, you know, punitive governing body. So, you know, there was no upside to her staying in a confrontational mode when publicly pushed to make a statement. Now, if they had never asked her, of course, she could have remained silent. But Chicago Sky is trying to get their ticket sales together, and they you know, pimp game on for the next season. So they needed her to speak up, whether she's gonna be there or not, or you know, push against not being there, so that they could you know, arrange their board to continue to exploit her. So the WNBA and the USA Basketball, y'all know they kissing cousins. So they just, you know, and WNBA is for keeping that franchise in Chicago intact. Now they might be cousins, we never know. But so they had to get that straightened out, because maybe ticket sales wasn't coming in. Maybe people wasn't buying the what you call them, you know, the seats where they go, you know, be guaranteed a certain amount of seats. We don't know what was happening financially, but it was something going on for them to, you know, confront her like that at USA Basketball. And I could bet she wasn't really expecting that.
And let's not forget that Chicago is trying to host the WNBA All-Star game. They are the home of the WNBA All-Star game this coming up season, should it be one. So that's an important piece of what's going on here as well.
And they're a large you know, media market, and like I was telling Seth, you know, people put in these media deals, there's an out clause if you don't deliver. You don't just, I'm not giving you millions of dollars to have Joe Blow show up in. Girl is highly visible, and her, not only the sponsorship she's with, but these media people are expecting you know, to be able to market her being in a particular market. It's a lot of little pieces to it. It ain't just, you know, somebody mad about this, that, and the other. You know, it's a lot of money could be potentially lost. And that's probably the biggest, from the WNBA standpoint, that's the biggest thing they looking at. You know, because if you don't deliver, then you have to return that money. And they, you know, them kind of people ain't looking to return not near dime. You
know. Chuckle Chatter. I don't think anybody was saying that Angel wanted to buy the Chicago Sky. The question was just, could she? Even with the 68 Black Power salute, those athletes had to work minimum wage jobs for decades. They were blacklisted from the fields they had degrees in. Absolutely.
Cost and consequence.
They gonna get their sales up with Flau'jae and Miller. Y'all shouldn't allow that. You shouldn't allow that. That question that USA Basketball was from a Chicago reporter. It was a setup. They were hoping Angel would slip up. Go ahead, Lil.
No. I just thought about something they said about. Don't think for 1 minute they not, you know, exploiting Camilla. I mean, please, they don't open the damn office in Brazil, a television outlet, so they could see the home girl flow. So yes, they're exploiting every avenue. And you know, if Flau'jae come here, that would be interesting. But I mean, you know, Flau'jae already you know, let them know she ain't gonna be no trouble. She's a safe, what they call a safe Negro. So, you know, they may make some money off her, this, that, and the other. That the fan base is really, you know, looking at Flau'jae coming in. I don't think they'll select her. But this Twin Tower thing has given them a lot of financial momentum. I mean, these people haven't turned a profit in eon. And that even been able to withstand the termination of a teaspoon. So, you know, that's certainly something that they're going to be looking at. And the fact that, now I didn't know that. I had no idea it was a Chicago reporter. But, yeah, that, you know, the Chicago Sky.
Chicago media ain't been on Angel's side since she got there, so I'm confused about Chicago media. Period. You know, if we gonna talk media, but I don't want this to get into being about who's coming and what they doing. This conversation is about access and preserving access and why she had to do that, and the Black woman workplace message and why this hits a nerve. When a visible Black woman speaks up about mistreatment, then later carries the language of reconciliation, it lands personally for the culture. Not because she's wrong, but because the system keeps teaching Black women to fix the fallout, not the harm. That nerve is historical and not emotional. See, this is also symbolic politics. Her statement becomes a signal, not just a sentence. Institutions read it as proof that pressure works. Community reads it as a reminder that Black women are often asked to observe the cost of the peace, even when they name the problem first. And I want to keep the focus right there. So, Leo, why does the system expect the harmed party to sound like the solution instead of the institution being asked to change?
You know what, the system expects the harmed party to present themselves as the solution because it protects institutional authority. And the main thing is that it avoids public accountability. So by positioning the individual as the problem solver, you know, the organization can control the narrative, and they can now manage the optics. And then they get to minimize scrutiny over its own policies and behavior. And Chicago has just done this for decades. So this shifts the responsibility away from structural reform and onto the person most impacted, and keeping the power centralized and unchallenged. You know, she can't challenge Chicago Sky's authority alone. But she got 5 million fans, and they should be still sifting through 5 million letters of how much they don't appreciate the way Black women are being treated in that organization. But I bet that has not happened. And that is turning out to be the biggest problem. She don't have no backup.
Yeah, and let me be clear. I don't have Diddy and Angel in the same boat at all. I don't have them in the same boat at all. Okay, where Diddy is at, I don't even talk about that shit on my platform. I don't deep dive on him and none of that bullshit. He dealing with what he dealing with because of the choices he fucking made, and that don't have nothing to do with what I'm talking about Angel Reese, Black women, and what's going on in this what's going on with this conversation right here. So I'm not getting into if he deserved to be locked up and all that. I haven't even talked publicly about what I think about Diddy. I have not given it much thought at all. because that's a totally different conversation for another platform. It ain't for mine. The Black women workplace message, culturally, why does the expectation hit Black women differently in sports than any other group, Lil?
This expectation is intensified. This due to historical and ongoing racialized and gendered stereotypes, particularly the idea that they are strong, angry, and inherently responsible for conflict resolution. So this means they are disproportionately burdened with emotional labor and public accountability. And the harm against Black women is just minimized. They rarely face this kind of combination of hyper visibility and racialized scrutiny and then gendered expectations. That make Black women uniquely vulnerable to this pressure in sports. So by her being so highly visible, in some ways, she can be used to continue the abusive attack of Black women in these workplace situations, because this happened to her. Yes, she's highly visible. I've always said that sports mirrors society, and this is happening and has happened for a very long time against Black women, in these workplaces. And we cannot minimize or forget the fact that Angel is an employee in a workplace situation. So, it's always looked the other way. Their harm is kind of minimized because they still have this theory comes back from the plantation that we can absorb some kind of mystical pain, that no other race can seem to absorb, and this is the way we treat it. It's like the worst time of this type of messaging, coming out in a form that it's okay to harm this young lady and then use the lack of accountability. They use the access to shield this white bread organization from being accountable, for what they have done to her. And it's just, well, she's strong, she should take it. It's not a matter of people, having strength or not having strength to take it. I mean, the psychological damage, could eventually wear on anybody. No matter how strong you are, you do not want to be abused in a job situation at no time. And that just seems to happen to Black women, not Black men, but Black women. In this society, it just, and then people just constantly excusing it, and nothing being done about it. The Chicago Sky hasn't said one damn thing, not one thing about how they're going to correct their raggedy. They just keep being raggedy, and then the system keeps saving them from having to make real systemic changes. And that's the burden that that young lady and many others in workplace situations have to face.
So I want to talk about some of the key takeaways in advocacy before we move on here. And I also want to tell y'all too. Y'all know Camilla is not Hispanic, y'all. Y'all know that she's Afro-Brazilian. Camilla is a Black woman. So I want to say that. Brazilians aren't Hispanic, y'all. But she does have a whole country, and Camilla is a global star. Camilla is a global star even before the WNBA. Camilla is a global star because she's already playing for Team Brazil. She's already playing for FIBA. She's already dominated at the FIBA level. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I want to tell y'all the pattern without the polish. Black women's excellence is always welcome. Our truth is managed. Our talent gets celebrated. Honesty gets disciplined, not with punishments that you can appeal, though. It's with the access get withheld. You just don't get the invitation. You don't get the phone call. You don't get the email. You're not in the room. You're not at the table. Afro Latina, thank you. Reputations get reshaped. Optics recalibrated. The rule is consistent. Conform first, opportunity later. Speak out, then be reframed. Expose harm, then be asked to restore comfort. That's why this moment hits so hard. It's not new. It's familiar. Black women are allowed to power systems, not destabilize them. Wait a minute. Whoa. Let me say this. I don't have to tell Hispanics anything, K-File. All I was doing was saying that it's not. I'm happy that Camilla has a Hispanic following. I wanted to bring as many eyes to the game as she can. That improves her. That improves her backing. I'm happy if they do look up to her. So no, I wouldn't tell them that. But I'm making sure, and it wasn't just because of your comment. I've heard other people come in and make these comments, and I'm not sure that people really realize that her mother says she's Afro Latina. So she's a black woman there, right? Hispanic gives Spanish descent and some other stuff. So I'm not gonna get into that. Have all the fan bases that you want to have, but I want to make sure that people categorize her correctly. Just because she has a great Hispanic following doesn't make her Hispanic. That was my point. But where fans stop being spectators and start having leverage, this is where we start being the leverage at right here. Because real advocacy isn't clapping; it's the coordinated pressure. It's correcting distorted narratives, elevating workplace truth, backing player-led power and ownership, and forcing institutions to respond through strategy and not outrage cycles. That's how the protection gets built. That's how the community shifts from reacting to controlling the terrain, right? What costs more for Black women in sports, silence or honesty? Drop a word or two in the chat, y'all. I want to know from y'all. What costs more for Black women in sports, silence or honesty? Lil, what's your closing thoughts?
My closing thought is this: says, the systems don't fear talent; they fear uncontrolled truth. And so, Angel Reese's statement avoided risk, but it also showed how power disciplines the speaker and not the institution, and that's what's so frustrating. So that's the lesson, not her intention. And so, if we want change, we shift the pressure off the athlete and onto the architect. Ownership, policy, narrative, access without obedience. And that's the real power play. The bottom line is, as fans, there should have been a massive outcry of Chicago fans putting pressure on that organization and letting them know that we're not going to tolerate this type of treatment. I mean, if that treatment had happened to Paige or CC, they fan bases don't sit around and clap and say, oh, they get out and let you know, look, we're not spending another dollar, another dime, their whole massive protest, whatever they have to do. We have to start protecting our female athletes in this way by being advocates for them and through activism to make sure that these things do not happen. That they should, like I said, still be shifted through 5-10 million letters, demanding accountability by Jeff, for the way he treated and publicly tried to humiliate this young lady. But I bet they didn't receive not one letter. And the Chicago fan base will still turn around, try to put it on Angel. Try to say, well, she needs to do something. They'll never name what it is. And letting these, I don't even want to talk about them, that front office. Them people have gotten away with murder. And she's not the only victim. They have been victimizing Black women nearly since their inception. And nobody has checked their ass on the discriminatory practices that organization has. And that's what the real problem is. And having to set this young lady up to even be in a position like that. as fans, we got to do more to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I want to highlight. I want to go back. Yeah, everybody is just one representation. Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And that's a good thing. And I see that. I saw Leah Chavez got a rap song out and everything. And that is how they separate. And it doesn't have to be either or. It's both and. Two things can be true. And I agree. I agree with that. So I don't know if they didn't resume building the new facility, y'all. I don't know how far. I don't know how far they came with that. Sky fans have to speak out with their wallets. Yeah, WNBA fans have to speak out with their wallets. Women's basketball fans and supporters, we have to speak out with our wallets. Still mad at the way they had her news conference at that gym with no backdrop or nothing. Still mad, yeah, as we should be. They could not have done anything like that to any of the Dream players. Kai Copper said they didn't care if she ate or anything. Yeah, I mean, this is something that we've seen. These are the things that we've seen. These are the things that we've seen, and these are the things that we're challenging going into these CBA negotiations and looking at what does this next iteration of the WNBA look like, right? We got Houston supposedly coming online, it looked like, and it's a lot of money floating around the WNBA that could really make or break this league at this time. But there's some decisions that they're going to make that could really send the money elsewhere. When you have Project Bees and Unrivaled kicking off next Monday with their second season, and Athletes Unlimited getting more comfortable, and players seem like they're a little bit more comfortable going overseas with this Project B thing. This is a critical time for the WNBA to make or break itself for the next 30 years. This is a chance. This is a time where it can really turn the corner and be the first in some of these major league, in some of these major sports leagues. So, but they got to be able to do it now, and it starts by holding organizations like the Chicago Sky accountable and making them, we talked about this little, just standardization of certain things to be in this league. If they giving pregame meals in Indiana, they give pregame meals everywhere. If they paying for rooms when you're on the road, then pay for rooms everywhere. Keep it equitable, keep it fair. Allow for the natural growth and progression. Do the things that make sense. It doesn't make sense for your stars to be walking through the airport carrying their own bags and going down and trying to get their luggage at the baggage check themselves and all that. Some of that shit just doesn't make sense from a doing business standpoint. You understand what I'm saying? So let's make those type of decisions. And sometimes you have to look at the leadership and say, hey, Kathy, you came in with some great ideas. You came in with some great intentions. You were able to implement some things and start some things that maybe will be beneficial, but it may just not be you for right now, right? And that's okay. Adam, it may be that you need to back out of this now. It may be time to just take the training wheels off of the WNBA and see where the hell it goes by itself, with the leadership and the knowledge that these women and the people that have participated in it for the last 30 years have been able to figure out and learn about it. Now let's see what they do. Remember when AR5 was asking for Gabby Williams to come back to Chicago during the Olympics? Gabby said, with that front office, hell no. And she even went further to say that I would play for you for another organization, not at that organization. We can play together, not in Chicago.
And that's causing an abuse incident.
That should embarrass the hell out of you as an organization. Like, I'd have trolled Gabby back. It'd have been something, but you can't troll Gabby back if you ain't did shit to fix what she complaining about. How long Gabby been gone? You still got the same problem? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kai Copper said y'all wasn't feeding nobody. I haven't tapped. Do we got the pregame meals going yet? I told y'all 17 times how to get these pregame meals. Y'all have a Taste of Chicago every year. Ask 22 of those people who would like to feed the team one game in the season.
Exactly.
We'll put a promo up on the big screen in the arena, and we'll give a promo code for people to come and buy whatever it is that you sell. If I was them, I would give them I would have one of those them concession stands. It would just be for somebody to come through, and it would be their turn. Whoever is feeding the team that game would also have a concession stand to sell their food right in Wintrust Arena to introduce their food to somebody who maybe wouldn't take advantage of it. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
But it's too simple. It's too easy for you to do something like that and feed the team. I done said it. I don't know how many times, man. The taste is right there. You telling me don't nobody want to feed the team? Come on now.
One of the biggest restaurants places in the whole damn country.
You can't tell me that these companies don't want to do it. And you know how I know that they paying attention? Because goddamn, the Stud Buds was walking around in New York and Sprite came running downstairs. Hey, Stud Buds, I was gonna put this in the mail to you. Just take it right now. Put it on. DoorDash seen Stud Buds up on the damn Twitch. Next thing I know, DoorDash was giving out what? DoorDash promos in the Stud Bud Live. Mm-hmm. You have to want to collaborate with people. You have to show yourself as being open to working with people. But they ain't doing it. It's too easy to fix this stuff. Right. The current political leadership we have is influencing the way many organizations are behaving right about now. Can we have that conversation? K5, I don't know where you've been. We've been having that conversation about the political climate and how these people need and how we need to move in this climate. Please check out some of our other content. WNBA, CBA breakdown, Broken Skies. This is a conversation that we have on Tuesdays and Thursdays right here with PoliSports Tea Time around all of those things. Coach had the Stud Buds at NASCAR. You understand? People making money. People are partnering. Sephora's doing stuff with Angel, right? I mean, it ain't even just Sephora. Somebody else. Name all these people. Reese's Pieces, Hershey's, all these people coming out the woodworks doing business with these ladies. WNBA, wake up.
Mm-hmm.
I would just be rolling food through the wind trucks. Everybody would get a chance to feed the team. We'd have a contest. The players would pick. We had 22 local people come through. But you know what that also does? It creates NIL opportunities for the team. You know what? You know what? Tasty Freeze, you came in here. I liked it. Your barbecue. I'm gonna come do a barbecue commercial. Now we partner. We build it. We tracking back into the community and making money. 50. Come on. Louis Vuitton. Come on. Coach, talk about them. Come on. Not Oreo and got in with Angel too. Now, what the hell is Angel doing with Oreo? With the Reese's? I ain't got, Oreo. You know what, Oreo? Get your money. Sephora sponsored Unrivaled. You telling me they wouldn't sponsor the dub? You think they don't want to be a partner? You think they don't want to be? The medical people that came out and did the full body scans at Unrivaled. You don't think they want to give that to the WNBA? The little tracker that they wore so that they can track and better recuperate and recover and understand their bodies. You don't think they want to partner with the WNBA? Dejanay finally getting her one size setting spray. Let's go. The media is constantly making an ass out of her. I think you're talking about Angel. They refuse to show her highlights. However, they're constantly showing her lowlights to uplift CC. But we also got to stop clicking on that bullshit though.
Yeah, exactly.
So every time you see something that's wrong, put something out that's right. Paige and AR5 together. I love it. Paige Beckers and Angel got a candy bar. Let's do it. It's the two mixed together. I do wonder if they're calling it Paige and Oreo though. If Paige don't give a goddamn, Paige gonna count. She gonna take that Oreo money. That's the one thing. She gonna take that Oreo money right back to her family. She don't give a damn what you think about it. See, you don't click on that bullshit. Yeah, but those are the conversations. I don't want it on my FYP or time. I got you for your page. I got you. I totally understand. But those are the things we have to be conscious. We have to be conscious about and conscientious about how we spend our social media currency. And we have to understand that there's power in it and the value in it. It's not cheap. I tell you, it don't cost you no money to push that like, but it costs you a whole lot of other things because it attaches to who you are. Our page is very grounded. I love it. I love the conversation. I love the conversation. We're going to continue to have these conversations and more as we flow into 2026. We're going to be doing a look back on the WNBA season. Be on the lookout for that drop. I think we'll have a live conversation about it as well. But But we just wanted to come up and have this conversation. And for those of y'all who may be around for, going into the new year, we'll be having a conversation. And those of you who aren't, we wanted to just say thank you for y'all support so far. Me and Political Lil just getting started. We just getting started, and we see y'all out there. We see y'all out there watching the content and using it on your channels and not giving us no credit. That doesn't bother us because we want the conversations to be out there, right? We want the conversations to be out there, and we open to having other conversations, open conversations with other platforms and channels. Reach out. Pages for the culture. Yeah. I'm disgusted with black men not realizing it is propaganda. There are some black men that don't realize that it's propaganda. But I got to shout out my brothers that support Let's Talk Sports and PoliSports Tea Time. We got real men over here, real men and women over here. And I'm so proud to be a part of this community and on this journey with you, Political Lil, and have you all as supporters. Y'all push us to have conversations that other people won't have. And we appreciate the way that y'all come and show up and participate. So I just want to take this time to thank Political Lil, the truth teller in all things, in all things cons. Lil gonna pull the truth back, but also just a great thank you to you all who keep pulling up with us every week, man, with the like and the share and the engagement. We appreciate y'all. Looking forward to continuing the conversation into next year. Lil, anything before we get ready to get out of here?
No, I just want to say I appreciate you all rocking with us. Politics is necessary. Advocacy is necessary. Activism is necessary. We have got to move forward in protecting our precious cargo, which is our athletes, and especially our black women in every industry. And y'all, this CBA, oh goodness, I can't stress the importance and how that could spill over into the way we need to have a new economic system in this country, that benefits labor. So that's my main thing. That's what I studied in, got a degree in, political science and labor and urban development. Those are my things, and that's what I've talked and preached on. And I appreciate Seth for giving me an opportunity. I had never thought about doing a YouTube. I didn't even know how to do a channel, but I like to thank her for giving me an opportunity. I was so mad about that teaspoon firing. I think I better let her up here and blow off some steam, because that was just an awful situation. But Seth, wanted to thank you for the opportunity. To speak on these things, because they so necessary.
Yeah. Hey, my sisters, we are at war. You better believe that. Yeah. We are at war. And that's the rap. Listen, we can support athletes and name the system to keep boxing them in. That's not conflict, y'all. That's clarity. Sports, never just about the games we play. They're about the stories we tell and the systems we expose. If this conversation moved y'all, like it, share it, add to it, push it further. Y'all hype this video. Tap in with Respect Our Game advocacy group. We're going to be turning that up going into 2026, y'all. Support the players. Challenge the narratives. Hold institutions accountable. We're not just moving pieces, y'all. We questioning who owns the board. You think people fear an increase in ticket prices in order for players to get raises? No, I don't. And I wouldn't mind paying. Here's the thing. I wouldn't mind paying more for a ticket if I knew the BRI was going to be split. How it's supposed to be split, 48 to 50%. But I'm not going to pay a higher ticket price. And then you talking about, well, we don't know if we doing BRI and maybe 3 out of 10 and 20% then. No, you can't get none of that money then. Came in at the end, but it's still like that share because they both right there. Key highlight. I appreciate you, fam. I'll be watching you all the time. Thank you, Timothy. Y'all, like I said, we're not just moving pieces. We questioning who owns the board. It's your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies and Political Lil for PoliSports Tea Time. Political Lil will be dropping our own channel going into 2026, y'all, and we're gonna expect y'all to get over there and support and follow and push that political channel out, just like you've helped me grow mine, man. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all to life. Until next time, y'all know what it is. Y'all stay tuned. Talk soon. Me and Political Lil, y'all. We out.